Brian Maurer is right. Hi, everybody. I'm Marky Billson giving you a commentary before Tennessee kicks off with Texas A&M on Saturday, December 19th in Knoxville, Tennessee at noon Eastern Time. Big game for the Aggies. We'll get to that. There is no chance for Tennessee to win the game. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. However, there is praise that Tennessee should receive, and it's not for beating the tomato can that is Vanderbilt last week. It's to backup quarterback Brian Maurer, last year's part-time starter. He tweeted out about a week ago, "Let's get this clear. This isn't your team. You are a fan of us. Until you put in the blood, swear," I think he meant sweat. I think he meant sweat, but it came out swear. "Until you put in the blood, swear, sweat, and tears we do, this will not be your team. As a team, we spent countless hours, a week, years away from our family. And all that for someone like you to criticize us. No disrespect." Now, there are two thoughts. First of all, I could get on Maurer for being a little soft because I think that Tennessee fans are extraordinarily supportive. And even now when, you'll hear a critical call go right to Jeremy Pruitt on Vol calls or something like that, it's not that big of a deal. I don't think he used to have, mass booing. As it is, Tennessee fans generally are really supportive and tend to overrate their team and their players, as a matter of fact. I mean, I could get into it and all this, but as compared to other fan bases, certainly, let's say in comparison to a Philadelphia fan base, it's like night and day, and so you could get on Maurer for saying, what are you? I mean, come on, they're not that critical in Knoxville. But really, I think he needs some praise for trying to get fans to quit saying we. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I have not been guilty of saying we over the course of time as a fan. However, to do it as a member of the media, and I have heard sports writers covering Tennessee use we. Sports talk show, podcast, there's a little bit more leeway, but still, you do not play for the team. Not scoring touchdown, not making blocks, etc., etc. You are not part of the team. You say yay. Or, certainly, you're supposed to cover them objectively. It is not we. Brian Maurer is absolutely right here. And a fan trying to say, I can say we, is a little bit disturbing because you wonder if he's trying to project himself onto a team and sort of live a Walter Mitty fantasy. Now, there is a school of thought that says some boosters, they give money to the team, we should say we if we want to. Then they start getting more control than they should and start bossing around the administration when that happens. Put it to you this way, in pro sports, if a team owner, when he's accepting the trophy after his team wins the title, would say we, wouldn't it sound a little bit undeserved? I mean, usually you hear, oh, our staff is the best, our coaching staff, our players never gave up, blah. Usually they say that. We, not so much. And I'm sure you can find some instance where an owner accepting a trophy says we, don't get me wrong, but it's undeserved. It's poor form. It's journalistic sacrilege if it's done by a sports writer. And I'll just put it this way. Years ago, I had a coworker who was really excited about the LA Lakers playing for the NBA title. And he kept referring to the Lakers as we. And I asked him, have you ever even been to California? It's not like the Bus family knew who this guy was. You know what he told me? Oh, man, I wear their t-shirt. I should be able to say we. Okay. Maurer is gone. So is the field goal kicker before the Vanderbilt game. Tennessee remains in bad shape when Brent Samaglia is saying, get me out of here. It's one thing if, let's say, Trey Smith, who's going to probably be eligible for I would imagine he would declare for the NFL draft. I know you're supposed to get this year of eligibility in this season of pandemic. back and all this, but I would imagine he'd go into the NFL draft. If he wanted to do that right now and say, look, I've had blood clots in my lungs, I've proven myself as a player, the less contact, the better. I don't think anyone would blame him. However, when a field goal kicker who doesn't get much contact does, what's he scared of? Getting hit on the kickoff? Now, I'm not saying that that's not legitimate, but when the field goal kicker leaves the team early, then it speaks of something internally. And here's an idea. Does Jeremy Pruitt really have a clue? We've asked this before, but you look at the depth chart, and here he comes off quarterback. Harrison Bailey or J.T. Shrout. That's who's listed. No starter yet. Running back, Eric Gray or Ty Chandler. Left tackle, Jameer Johnson or Wayne Morris. Cornerback, Warren Burrell or Alontae Taylor. Same thing with tight end. You've got to make a decision. And even if you're trying then to say that, well, the team themselves knows who's going to start, or, you're flip-flopping players in and out during a game, I can see that. This is a really bad look because it makes the players themselves, even if you've told them that they're going to start privately, wonder where their place really is. It's almost like the knife is at the throat. Furthermore, if you've already made that decision, then why aren't you telling it? Don't give me gamesmanship. You're not going to fool the Texas A&M Aggies. That's not the case. You are not giving the best information to your fans. You're being dishonest to your following. And yeah, that's not good for a coach. Jeremy Pruitt, a coordinator in a head coaching role. To make it even more absurd, Cade Mays is listed as the starter at right guard. It's now been reported he will miss the game against Texas A&M, but he's listed as the starter on the depth chart. Depth chart is absolutely meaningless at Tennessee, and I'm convinced Jeremy Pruitt doesn't get it. It's kind of interesting. When Trevor Lawrence had to miss the Notre Dame game, it wasn't like Dabo Swinney kept the Clemson fans guessing who the starter would be then. Texas A&M, a 14-point favorite. They need a big victory to get into the college football playoff. They've also allowed the fewest sacks in the SEC. This has every makings of A&M's first visit to Knoxville, as a matter of fact, being an incredible rout with Kellen Mond and running back Isaiah Spiller. Mond, of course, quarterback, should play in the NFL. What makes it more outrageous, well, Texas A&M, they need a big victory to get into the college football playoff. They are right now the first team looking in. They're hoping to be able to leapfrog, let's say, the loser of the Clemson-Notre Dame game. Tennessee is still slated to possibly make a bowl game. And I know a lot of teams are sitting out, but it's being reported by ESPN, potentially the Music City Bowl against Minnesota, which would mean you'd have two losing teams in a bowl game. How can bowl games, even in this year, have any credibility? For that matter, how can Minnesota and Tennessee report to have any credibility if they accept such an invite? I know the Big Ten and SEC want some bowl money, but it's not like fans are going to be going to this game in any great numbers, and it's not like it's going to get a great TV rating. This would be a game better not played than played, and frankly, it's embarrassing that Tennessee this year, with a 3-7 record, is going to go to a bowl game if they accept it, and they said that they would. Not quite as embarrassing as South Carolina at 2-8 going to a bowl game, but that's another topic for another day. But remember, Brian Maurer, thank you. Thank you for having some journalistic responsibility. It's probably the end of your Tennessee career, and frankly, if you're getting on fans for being too critical of a 3-6 team, when they haven't really been all that critical, maybe you are better suited for, let's say, an FCS program. But he's had some issues with depression and such, so I can get it. Maybe it would be better if he was there at a FCS program or such. It's not really a knock on Brian Maurer. I'm a Brian Maurer fan because I totally agree with him. No, It's poor form to say we if you are a fan, and certainly if you are a journalist, when referring to the team that you are following. I'm Marky Billson.